Since I'm waiting in line for this new secret lair, I figured that I would do my own Rin and Seri deck tech. Oh, hey look! Rin and Seri, Inseparable, of course, two different arts, and soon to be a third different art. These are a change of pace from my normal deck techs. I'm normally in the competitive scene of CEDH, but this is one of my favorite casual decks because who doesn't love cats and dogs? This is a combat-based deck that has one combo in it that we'll get to in a second, but let's start off with cats and dogs. Who do I run in this deck? Well, first off, I run Shapeshifters because Shapeshifters are both cats and dogs, and they trigger Rin and Seri because whenever you cast a dog spell, you create a 1/1 green cat. Whenever you cast a cat spell, you create a 1/1 white dog. So, since Shapeshifters are both cats and dogs, you get both triggers. You create a 1/1 green cat and a 1/1 white dog. So let's talk about the cats so that I can make more dogs. Well, I run the Sacred Cat. It's just a little bit of graveyard recursion in and itself. A little bit of removal here in the Qasali Pride Mage. It's exalted and you can sack it to destroy target artifact or enchantments. Adorned Pouncer, I love this Eternalize mechanic, but having a 1/1 double striker that can get a lot bigger due to some different Anthem effects is actually pretty good. Speaking of Anthem effects, here is Prava, the Steel Legion. As long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control get +1/+4, and you better believe that we have a ton of creature tokens. And worst case scenario is you can make a small little army with Prava's activated ability. Feline Sovereign, another Anthem effect. Other cats you control get +1/+1 and have protection from dogs, which is hilarious. Whenever one or more cats you control deal combat damage to a player, destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment that player controls. This has just board wiped all enchantments and artifacts and is immediately targeted by most opponents. Kahira, it does act, it's another Anthem effect for cats. Not much more to that. Another Anthem effect, other cats you control get +2/+1. Miri, Weatherlight Duelist, and Kutzel are new includes to the deck. Both are somewhat protective spells. It kind of reminds me of some spells that I play in CEDH, and in fact, I've played Kutzel in CEDH. When Miri Duelist attacks each opponent who can't block with more than one creature this turn, this combat, as long as it's tapped, no more than one creature can attack me each combat, and then Kutzel opponents can't cast spells during my turn, and it's also a little bit of card advantage. Whenever one or more creatures you control with power greater than its base power deals damage to a player, combat damage, draw a card. So most of the time this is just drawing me 2 or 3 cards each turn as long as it's out and I have an Anthem effect. This Jazal is a game ender. Attacking creatures you control get +X/+X until the end of turn, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Of course, you can see how that can get out of control. This one, Cat Warrior, opponents can't cast spells during combat. That includes their combat and my combat, and whenever a creature I control deals combat to a player, goad each creature that player controls. Jetmir is also a game ender, just makes things huge. Alms Collector is a bit of a stacksy piece and somewhat of a draw engine. Qasali Slingers, whenever it or another cat enters the battlefield under my control, I may destroy target artifact or enchantment. You might notice that this deck likes to destroy artifacts and enchantments. And then finally the last cat at the end of my curve, an Anthem effect, but also ETB effect, creating 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens. So those are my cats. Now let's talk about the dogs. So I have many less dogs than I do cats. I have Goldhound, which is a little bit of ramp, but late game, worst case is I cast it and get a 1/1 cat if Rin and Seri is out. Selfless Savior, Altered Art. You can sacrifice it and another target creature gains indestructible until the end of turn. There's been a lot of times where I've done that and protected Rin and Seri from a board wipe like a Damnation or a Wrath effect. Pack Leader, it's an Anthem for dogs. When it attacks, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn to dogs I control. Spirited Companion, just a one-time ETB, drawing a card. Also combos with something that I'll explain in a little bit. And then Bolthound has haste. When it attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+0 until the end of turn. We usually have a huge board full of creatures, so that can often be a game swinger. Here are a few ways that I get to double some tokens. Mondrak, if one or more tokens would be created under my control, twice that many are created. And that's a really similar effect with doubling season. Maskwood with Nexus, I put this in this category because creatures I control are every creature type. Same is true for creature spells I control and creature cards that I own that aren't on the battlefield. So this can double tokens because it makes all my cats dogs as well and gets an additional trigger from Rin and Seri, and vice versa for the other creature type that we care about. Ginny Fey is a game ender. If you would create one or more tokens, I may create that many 2/2 green cat creature tokens with haste, or that many 3/1 green dog creature tokens with vigilance, instead of 1/1s that are just either 2/2 hasty people or 3/1 hasty people. Now, how do I protect Rin and Seri? Because it's pretty crucial that Rin and Seri is out, otherwise my dogs and cats are just kind of creatures that aren't incredibly good on their own. So I have Surge of Salvation, Mother of Runes to give something protection from the color of my choice, oftentimes Rin and Seri. The Swiftfoot and Lightning Greave package, my dogs and cats like their shoes. Sajiri Shelter, this is a protection spell but also an MDFC land. Flawless Maneuver and Deflecting Swat, both protection pieces of slightly different capacities. And then Teferi's Protection. There's been a lot of times where I just need one more turn to swing with the dogs and cats, and so I use this to protect myself from big swings against me. So besides lands, I do run a ramp package of Birds of Paradise, Sol Ring, Boros Signet, Gruul Signet, Ornithopter of Paradise, a very underrated card in my opinion. I run the Talisman package, and then of course Arcane Signet. So now that I can cast on my dogs, how do I tutor for my dogs and cats? Well, I got Worldly Tutor, Enlightened Tutor, and Gamble. Gamble, sooner or later might get cut. I've had a lot of bad experiences with it. We don't run a lot of graveyard recursion, so when I'm tutoring for a creature card and it goes to the graveyard, it's just in the graveyard now. Here is the one combo that's in the deck. It's the Allurin White Mane Lion combo to try to get infinite dogs and cats, because it is hilarious to overrun my opponents with 9,999 cats and 9,999 dogs. So Allurin says any player may play a creature card with total casting cost 3 or less whenever he or she play an instant and without paying its mana cost. So White Mane Lion is of course under 3 mana. It is 2. It has Flash. When it enters the battlefield, return a creature I control to my hand. So whenever I cast a cat or dog, I of course create a 1/1 white cat or dog, depending on what creature type it is. So let's say Allurin is on the battlefield and Rin and Seri are on the battlefield. I can cast White Mane Lion. Since it's a cat, I get a 1/1 dog. And then the White Mane Lion will trigger when it enters the battlefield, return a creature I control to its hand. I'll return the White Mane Lion back to my hand and rinse and repeat over and over as many times as I want, getting infinite dogs, infinite 1/1 dogs, 9,999,999 dogs. And then of course those are not hasty, but if I wanted to have a different spell on the battlefield that gave them haste, that's appropriate, or I just wait a turn. So this is the one combo piece that's in the deck. I do run a little bit of card draw to try to draw into those combo pieces or just other value. Skull Clamp feels bad chomping up little dogs and cats, but you gotta do what you gotta do to get your resources. And then I run Sylvan Library, which is MVP. I always pay the 8 life. Here's my removal package. Path to Exile, Swords of Plowshares. Exiling creatures seems to be worth the very minor downside. Crib Swap is hilarious with Rin and Seri out, because I of course get to trigger Rin and Seri to get a 1/1 cat and a 1/1 dog since the tribal instant Shapeshifter. I run Depopulate. It's just a wrath effect with a slight upside. Each player who controls a multicolored creature draws a card, then I destroy all creatures, because I do control many multicolored. And then here's another small ramp package, Burgeoning, Utopia Sprawl, Cryptolith Rite, creatures I control have tapped to add 1 mana of any color. I have a huge board, so casting stuff is no issue when I have Cryptolith Rites out. And then tutoring for basic land, put it in my hand, and 1 onto the battlefield tapped. Here are a couple other win conditions. Coat of Arms and Beastmaster Ascension both pump my armies, my cat and dog armies, to insurmountable capacities. So now that we know what I'm casting, let's see how I cast them. Command Beacon, Rin and Seri always get destroyed, so having this out to avoid some command attacks is always a thing. Gaia's Cradle is unnecessary but very powerful. Aiganyo, just a little piece of removal. I run the Buddy land package, the Shock land package, fetch lands, Cavernous Souls to keep things from getting countered, which is super relevant in my meta. Secluded Courtyard is a slightly less good Cavernous Souls, but it is really good because we can activate Rin and Seri. Rin and Seri's activated ability, tap it, it deals damage equal to any target equal to the number of dogs I control, and I gain life equal to the number of cats I control. I can use the Secluded Courtyard to activate that. Of course, Command Tower, Jetmir's Garden, Jungle Shrine, City of Brass, Exotic Orchard, Spire of Industry. I run a lot of artifacts, so this usually can get me 1 mana of any color that I need. These are the hideaway lands, the whites and the red one, and then I run the basic land package. I did mention that I do like Shapeshifters, and I should have gone over these a second ago, but there is a win con in here besides their obvious ability to trigger Rin and Seri, both the cat and dog ability. So Masked Vandal, when it enters the battlefield, exile a creature card from the graveyard. If I do, destroy a target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Imposter, it's just a vanilla 3/1 changeling, but it's good enough. Universal Automaton is also a changeling. It feels good getting it later in the game. It's enough value, getting 2 additional 1/1s off of Rin and Seri. Realmwalker, changeling. When it ETBs, choose a creature type. I may look at the top card of my library anytime. Oftentimes I choose cat, and I may cast spells of the chosen type, so cat's off of the top of my library. Mirror Entity. Now, I have a ton of ramp and a ton of mana usually, and so this is oftentimes a way that I end the game. It has its obvious advantage by being a shapeshifter, but I can do its activated ability X, and I've often pumped in 20 mana into this. Until the end of turn, creatures I control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. The all creature types is also huge because of how many Anthem effects I run. This, in my opinion, is an include in most Rin and Seri decks. Taurian Mauler just gets massive, and then Avian Changeling is one of the very few flying creatures I control in this deck. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Rin and Seri Inseparable. I'm super excited for the new Secret Lair to come out, but hopefully this can inspire you to make your own cat and dog deck, and I hope that it was helpful. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and share this video to other cat and dog lovers. Take care.